Yo, what's up, man?
How's it going?
How are you?
Pretty good. How about you?
Good. Hey, shout out to all those early risers, huh?
Yeah.
Did you end up doing the tattoo fiesta?
Yeah.
Yeah, how was it?
It was really good. It was really busy.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite shows, man, that I was kind of bummed out. I didn't get a chance to get out there this time around just with the family plans and all that, but
Mhm.
that's probably one of the best, most organized professional tattoo shows I've done, you know?
Yeah, I don't know what makes it so busy if it's just Albuquerque and it's just like a really tattooed town or
Yeah.
the amount of advertising they do. But it's like, I think it's one of the only conventions where they actually advertise and aim to get like clients, like customers in.
Right.
I think a
The
lot
right
of them
crowd, the
just
right audience. Yeah. Back to Tattooing Out Loud podcast. Today we have a special guest episode. Go ahead and give us your intro, man, where you're from, how long you've been tattooing, and we'll kind of just kick it off from there.
I'm Jesse Bob. I've been tattooing going on 22 years now. And I have a shop here in Tucson, Arizona. It's called Sita Rama Tattoo. And I've kind of, I've worked all over the years, but I've been here for 5.5 years, almost 6 years now. So
Is this the first shop that you've opened, or have you like been somewhere else?
shops that I've owned, this would be the third.
Okay.
Um, But yeah, I've worked in plenty of shops, helped people open shops, but as far as owning shops myself, this would be the third.
And so what got you into tattooing? How did you start this life?
Well, I grew up around tattooing. My father is heavily tattooed. He started getting tattooed when I was like 5 years old. And I just thought it was the coolest thing. He was getting tattooed by Bob Montagna in New Jersey and Eric Hooven.
Okay.
And he used to take me into the tattoo shop. And he's from a really young age. I was always drawing and making art. And, from about that age, like 5 years old, my father told me that I should be a tattoo artist because, he didn't really like his job, but he had to do it. And he saw that the guys that were tattooing him, his friends, really enjoyed what they did and made a lot of money at it. So he encouraged me at a young age to pursue tattooing. And I was young,
That's crazy to try to instill that at 5 years old.
Yeah, I think he really just wanted free tattoos.
Yeah, there you go. He saw the benefit of he's like, if I just spawn this little artist, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. How did you get into this like your did you have like a traditional path with apprenticeship and all that or
Yeah, I did. I had a really traditional apprenticeship, which I still swear by today. I think it's the only way to go. I
for
was
sure?
really fortunate. I learned how to make needles, how to build machines, how to draw. It was in that way. That was probably like the least traditional part of it. Is that my mentor was like a portrait guy, and it was important to him that I actually knew how to draw. And I'd been drawing my whole life, but he had me hone in on like portraiture, landscape, the more kind of fine art aspect of it. But yeah, and I did everything: scrub toilets, sweep, mop, answer phones, make stencils, set up a station. Just everything an apprentice does.
What year was that when you entered into like actually this apprenticeship? What do you remember the year?
What is it now? It would have been, I think, in 2003.
Okay.
I'm really bad with
No,
years
yeah,
and
I was
dates
just
and
curious
stuff.
because I feel like there's this generation, this like timeline of like a cutoff of when, compared to where we are today, like how much of stuff has been almost um like it's not as common anymore as far
Yeah,
as apprenticeship, like the steps of apprenticing and what people believe in, and there are those that uphold tradition and that really do see it as something sacred because it should be, I feel. I don't know if it's like I mean, I'm sure you've seen, which I kind of want to get into like the different travels and the culture that you've been kind of exposed to, but in the early 2000s, that was still very like, no, this is like the process of getting it wasn't as oh, you put in 1,000 hours and you're ready. It really did lie on the mentor to kind of
Yeah.
be like, hey, now if because people have asked before, clients will be like, oh, like how long does it take? And I'm like, that's such a hard question, it's hard
Yeah.
to question in like apprenticeship.
Well, I asked him that, before we even started, and his answer was just, when you were ready,
Yeah,
which was really like when he thought I was ready,
right.
which could have been, and he told me it was like it could be a year, it could be 3 years. It
Wow.
just depends on what you put into it. And uh yeah, but that was good because for me it was a motivator, you
Right.
know. It was like, oh, I'm gonna really show up and do the best I can because I don't want to be here working for free for 3 years.
Yeah.
I was a janitor also, like during my apprenticeship,
Side hustle, yeah. A little
I was
part-time, yeah.
a janitor at a pub, at some
Oh, okay.
nasty pub, and I had to go in before I went to the shop and clean the shop and scrub the toilets there. I did that at some nasty pub first, so
Wow.
I didn't want to do that for long.
Did you ever go to any kind of school, or were you ever like your dad kind of telling you this is an option or this is something that you should really look into, pursue the art, pursue this tattooing? But did you just bypass school and everything and just went straight for it?
Well, I graduated high school, which
Okay. Well, yeah.
at the time seemed like a huge achievement.
Right, right, right. Yeah.
But no, just I took like advanced art, AP art in high school and stuff, and I took some classes outside of high school. But no, I never did any
Anything
college,
like college, yeah. Okay.
no formal schooling.
At any point while you were apprenticing or you were actually in a shop, what was your mindset at the time compared to now? Because you probably went through your own evolution of what your idea of tattooing was, right? When you first started and the things that you're exposed to with the walk-in traffic, if it was like a walk-in shop, and
Yeah,
then creating these relationships with clients where you really do see the whole like the bond of artist to client, and then how meaningful their a tattoo, like the worth of a tattoo. Did you go through that kind of change of I'm just like turning and burning, like just creating these pieces because I'm told to, and like without even a goal in mind or thinking outside the box or like a grand, bigger picture?
yeah. So it was definitely a street shop, and it was really busy, which was great because I was able to get my chops up pretty quick.
Yeah.
But there was this, like, I was grateful to be doing tattoos and making a lot of money and not working construction. Um, but there was also something behind that of like the tattoos I was looking at in books and magazines on the internet was like what I wanted to be doing. And I knew I could do that. And I got to do, a little bit of it here and there. Whatever came in at that time, it was still a lot of like Cherry Creek and stuff,
Yeah.
at least where I lived. Um, but, I was grateful that I could make money doing it. But at the same time, it was like, I can do those tattoos and I want to be doing those.
Right.
And little by little, it was a small town. So it was like, if I put a pinup girl, I started off traditional, that was my first love. Um, and it wasn't like popular at that time, especially where I lived.
What area
And
was that? The
that
shop?
was in Taos, New Mexico, is where I did
Okay.
my
Okay.
apprenticeship. So northern New Mexico, it's like I always like to say, it's like typically 10 years behind the trends and
Yeah.
everything.
A little behind. Yeah.
But yeah, so I was still doing like neo tribal and stuff, and I liked doing that. I still like doing that stuff. But yeah, there was this desire to do cool traditional tattoos. But I was able to, we put a pinup girl on somebody, and then their friends see it, and you do another one or
Sure.
a
Spider web
rose,
off that. Yeah.
dagger. Yeah, so I was growing that little by little, but the majority of it was just your day to day walk ins, a lot of names, a lot of crosses, roses, the Cherry Creek stuff,
Yeah. Old school
tribal.
flash. Yeah. Those old
Yeah.
books, dude. Like you mentioned, get your chops up to speed because of the amount of the volume of the traffic, and then really getting a sense of what it is to have to be fully indulgent to this life. You were probably just At some point, did it ever dawn to you like you weren't ever thinking ahead too far, or did you ever have a plan as far as like, oh, I'm gonna open my shop? Like, when did you get that first idea that, hey, I'm gonna work towards owning my own shop and being my own like my own boss kind of thing, like a business owner?
I don't think I ever really had that desire until it was presented to me,
Okay,
and I didn't, and that was like 5 or 6 years in. I just was happy to work in a street shop and be busy. To me, it didn't make a difference. I mean, at that time, I was making so much money that, for me, for somebody like a kid that was living in the country, like,
right.
I was poor. And to be able to make the kind of cash I was making in one day.
Big
I remember
difference.
the first night I stayed till like midnight or something, just banging out $60 tattoos all night and at 50%, and went home with like 300 and something dollars and was like, oh my God,
Right,
this is
right, right.
crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
So then, like 5 years in, I was just stoked to be making the money I was making, like, and putting it away.
for sure.
Um, but then I worked with Thomas Morgan in Portland, Oregon at a shop called Skull Kitchen.
Okay.
And the location, it was cool for what he was doing for a while. That was just more like appointments on fully custom tattoos and everything. But he wanted to open a street shop, and I did too. It was slow for me there because I didn't have that kind of clientele yet. And
Sure.
he was like, let's open up downtown, like the busiest part of town. No one's down there. And, we can hire some more guys and let's do a real street shop, like a real street shop, and be open late and have a ton of flash on the wall and all that.
Yeah.
And he wanted me to partner up with him and, together. And we had another, a silent partner that was more of a manager investment kind of guy. And we all three of us like pooled our funds and opened this shop in downtown Portland. It was called Electric Cobra Tattoo Club. And so
Okay.
I co-owned that with Thomas Morgan and a guy named Lynn. And that was the first shop I owned, but I co-owned it with them.
Did you automatically, I mean, you probably saw a huge difference between the the small town like New Mexico vibe going to Portland where it's a little bit more like you got the college students, you have like the street crowd. Did you feel like you had to kick
Yeah.
in a different gear?
Yeah, for sure. And it took some adjusting. And I had Thomas to kind of not just mentor me further in tattooing, but like kind of mentor me in the tattoo lifestyle and kind of like ease me into the craziness and kind of like the nightlife and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like a kid in a candy store. I was coming from the country and moved to the city, which, even then, like, I didn't consider it a big city, but it was a city. I was like a kid in a candy store. I was in my 20s. I was making a bunch of money in a
Yeah.
city. And, I was like, kind of had everything going for me. I could get whatever I wanted. And, as far as, materially,
Sure.
financially,
Sure.
that
Yeah.
was real easy. It was a fun time, like being a tattoo artist. I think that's before like everyone and their brother was a tattoo artist and it actually meant something and it was cool.
Yeah. It was a little bit
Now I
more
hear, I
right.
go out to a restaurant and somebody, I overhear like, oh yeah, I'm a tattoo artist. And I turn around and I'm like, but you're not. You might like, maybe
Yeah.
you like do some tats technically, but you're not a tattoo artist. You don't know this lifestyle. You haven't lived this like, and yeah, so that was like my first like real introduction into like kind of the tattoo lifestyle. And
The sacrifices that you've tangibly been through and the things that you've actually like the amount of work you put into this hours of, burning that midnight oil, coming up in the industry to really solidify or root yourself as a tattoo artist.
when I was learning, it was like you had to be a jack of all trades, and everybody did. There was
Right.
only like a handful of guys that were really doing like fully custom stuff, but you had to be able to do everything, and maybe you could get away with saying like, "Oh, I don't do portraits,"
Right.
but and going back to what I said about like getting your chops up, like I feel bad for people these days because they don't get that chance, you know, like they don't get the opportunity to like just sit down and crank tattoos out. There's very few places left, at least in this country, that are as busy as just like a regular street shop in the 90s or the early 2000s. Like, so I, you know, it sucks for them because I'm like, well, can you really get like a full apprenticeship? You know, if you're not like sitting down, just cranking them out, if you're doing like a few tattoos a week, like
Yeah.
you're going to learn really slow, you know, but also just the experience and being thrown into that. And, you know, people that start now just want to be like, oh, I specialize in this and I do this. Like, I didn't start specializing in something until I'd been tattooing like, you know, over 15 years.
Yeah.
And I feel like I earned the right to like, you know, sit in the shop I was at the time and be like, okay, you guys, you take that, you take that. I'll have,
Right.
you know, my people, and I'm be selective about what comes in because I had seniority over them.
That's
And
really what it comes down to. Yeah. Seniority. Yeah.
yeah, and I felt like, okay, I feel like I've earned this at this point. And also I was like getting close to burnout, and I was in a position where I could do that. You know, I think times have kind of changed, and now again I'm less selective, and I'm just like, yeah, if you want a tattoo, cool. But I have the experience to be able to roll with the punches like that.
Right.
And when it gets slow, like, yeah, cool, I'll do your dream catcher or whatever it is, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Or I'll do this cover up that's a pile on, you know, 3 cover ups. Like, sure, I'll, you know, black that out for you or cover that up, and or whatever it is. But I think it's because of that experience that I am able to like kind of weather the storm. And you know, I don't want to give too much information out, but like a lot of them too, they don't know how to paint. So
Right.
they don't, you know, I've always in slow season, like start hustling paintings,
Yeah.
you know,
Paintings.
start
That's a
selling
flip. Yep.
paintings, printing t-shirts, whatever it is, you know. And a lot of people don't have that. I think it's like really comes down to your personal hustle. I think I learned that early on, that it's like, oh, this depends on me. Like I can put myself in a busy street shop or I can be in this shop, but it all comes down to me and my hustle and my
Right.
salesmanship, and whether I'm, you know, it's not about Instagram or whatever. You know, if I'm walking around down here, I go up to a restaurant, I go into a shop, I'm passing out cards, you
Yeah.
know,
That's
like kind of
like that
boots on the
whole,
ground.
right. Right.
Yeah, like, and people don't know that. Like, and that was part of my apprenticeship too. It was like, oh, it's slow. Take these cards and
Go
pass them out.
flyer
Like,
out. Yep.
yeah, like almost like cold calling, you know,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
walking up to strangers on the street, like, hey, do you want a tattoo? Here's my mentor's card, you know.
Right.
It's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, I know that's like the most tangible, I guess, under the meaning paying your dues. Like you've paid your dues where, but you're also prepared for, you know, what slow season's like, you know, what's not. It's like a make or break thing. What if you've been through all this in the past, like nothing's gonna surprise you because you've already withered multiple storms. You've been there, done that. And a lot of people freak out and you're like, that's not a big deal, dude. There's always a way to keep yourself
I still freak out.
right. It is
Like,
well, it is a scary thing.
I
Yeah.
still freak out when it's
Yeah.
like, oh fuck, I killed it last month, and then this month you're like, oh shit, what's
Yeah.
going on?
It's like
But
a
I think
PTSD.
yeah, like the freaking out is what drives your hustle.
Right.
And you're like, oh shit, I'm not making what I made. And even if you have like the savings, it's still like, fuck, where'd my income go?
Right.
You
Right.
know, like I gotta sell something, I gotta make some calls, I gotta go pass out cards and stickers and talk to some people or you know, whatever.
Yeah, because you gotta you're not comfortable. Like, you know, you're always working on that. Like every day I gotta make this, you know,
Well,
that's a
I've always
driven.
said the worst part about tattooing, the worst part about this job is not doing it, is
Right.
the days when you don't get to do it. That's the worst part of it. Sitting in the shop and not doing shit is the worst.
Yeah.
And that's why if I'm in here or any shop I've ever worked in, if I'm not tattooing, I'm painting. I'm
Right.
making myself a better artist for when they do walk through the door, you know.
Absolutely. So what was your first with the Portland shop when you guys were out there, did you already have a convention experience or did you what was your first like
So we had just done a couple conventions before we opened that shop.
Okay.
So yeah, that was really new to me, and it was super exciting and fun. And I think conventions were a little different back then. Like
Right.
you would go to a convention and there was a lot of people walking around shopping and people that wanted to get tattooed. And if you were willing and able, you were just going to be busy and make a lot of money. And yet you like made a lot of connections, met a lot of friends that, you know, I'm still friends with now from like the first convention I ever went to.
For sure.
And you know, I'm clean and sober now, but I used to party like crazy at those things. And,
Yeah. It
you
went
know,
hand in hand.
yeah, it was fun, and it was a good way to meet people and kind of bond with people, you
Sure.
know.
How did you get exposed into like, because I know you say you're kind of a jack of all trades, but you do some killer like sacred geometry.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting transition from like
Yeah. That's good.
traditional tattooing and
Yeah.
partying and all that to,
The
you know,
wholesome monk. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like and you know, it's kind of hard to even like reconcile, you know, and juxtapose those two lifestyles together. And I think a lot of people and a lot of people I know would just be like, yeah, that's kind of lame, like, you know.
Yeah.
But I went through like kind of a crisis, and it was really like getting sober that started it, you know. And it started off like, oh, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna go chill out on the beach. I was living in New Mexico. Well, I guess first, like I had made a trip. It was my first trip to Asia. I went to Thailand and Cambodia.
Yeah.
And I went to Angkor Wat, which is the largest Vishnu temple in the world. And, you know, it's a lot of people know about it. It's on Ancient Aliens and all that kind of stuff. It's just
Yeah.
one of
Yeah.
those crazy
That place is so, yeah,
structures.
unexplained, a lot of mysteries. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing place to visit. And so I just gotten back from there, and that was kind of like I was tattooing in Europe, and you know, just kind of living the life, and you know, I was making a lot of money, and I was partying a lot, and we took like a little break and went to Asia to do just exploring, no tattooing. We ended up doing some tattoos in Thailand, but that's, you know, it just happened that way. So anyway, I got back from that trip, you know, it's maybe a couple months or something. And my tolerance for weed was so high. I couldn't get stoned anymore, and I was just super fucking irritable.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna go chill out at my friend's house on the beach in Huntington Beach, and I'm just gonna take a break from smoking weed, and I'm gonna get my tolerance low again. And as soon as I did that, instead of like waking up and smoking a joint and wait until like 10 or 11, maybe noon to start drinking,
Yeah.
I would just wake up and walk to the liquor store. And I was like, oh shit, this isn't much better. Like I should probably, you know, take a little break from alcohol too.
Right.
But when I did that, then I actually started going through withdrawals, and it sucked, and I was fucking miserable, you know, and just kind of a like existential crisis of like, why do I have everything on the material platform that's supposed to make me happy? Like money, women, you know, traveling the world, chilling out on beautiful beaches. Like I have everything that's supposed to make me happy, and I'm fucking miserable.
Mhm.
Like why? Like what's missing? Um, and I realized that, you know, I was addicted to alcohol, and I couldn't just take a break. I had to quit.
Right.
And this was a tough thing. I didn't really know how to go about it or what to do. And I was talking to my mother, and I think when at the time I was having the conversation with her, I didn't really realize I was going through withdrawals, you know. But I was just telling her how miserable I was and how unhappy, and why I didn't understand because I had everything, you
Sure.
know. And she was like, well, you seemed really happy at those temples in Asia. Isn't there something like that you can do here?
Mm.
And I thought about it, and I was like, oh, yeah, this is Southern California, and there's probably something like that around here. And then it was like this aha moment, like of all my youth meeting like Hare Krishnas with books out on the streets, Bhagavad Gita and all that. And I always took them and I looked at the pictures, like since I was a kid, like teenager, and I would get the books, but I never read them. And I would just like look at those paintings
Illustrations. Right.
and I'd cut them out and I'd hang them on my wall. Just
Wow.
totally like deface the books and like,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it was so cool. They were so attractive.
Right.
And it was always there with me. Like it was just beautiful stuff. And so I always knew about the Hare Krishnas, and there was, I don't know if you ever heard of the band Shelter when I was a
Yeah.
kid. It was a
Yeah,
hardcore
Shelter.
band.
Yeah,
That was
hardcore band, yep.
Krishna conscious. So, yeah, it was like light bulb moment where I was like, oh yeah, what about the Hare Krishnas? They have temples and stuff. So I just Googled, and there's the Laguna Beach temple. This is just right down the road. I just
Wow.
take PCH straight to it. So I went like right away, and I walked in on a Bhagavad Gita class, and this guy Tucson was given the class, and the verse he was speaking on, I should know it by now. I could read it, but it was about Krishna saying, like, because I was like, well, I got it. If I'm going to quit drinking, I'm going to quit smoking weed and partying. I have to quit tattooing. Like, you
Mm.
can't tattoo and not do those things. This is the lifestyle.
Yeah.
But he was talking about this verse where Krishna is telling Arjuna, his disciple, don't stop doing your duty. Like, so the setting is, and sorry, this is like kind of a long answer, but the
No, no,
setting
I like
is
this. Yeah, we're
they're
deep
on the
diving.
battlefield. They're on a battlefield, right? And Krishna is Arjuna's his guru.
Mm.
And Arjuna is on the battlefield, and everybody has to fight is all his family and his friends, his mentors. And he doesn't want to fight them. He doesn't want to kill them. And he's telling Krishna this, like before the battles is about to start. And Krishna says, this is your duty. You have to do it. But when you do it, think of me and do it out of devotion. And it was kind of like a bummer because I was like, oh man, I just wanted to quit. I wanted to give up. But it was like, don't quit doing what you're supposed to be doing. Like whatever your path is, your profession. And I think for me, it was different because I felt like I was supposed to be tattooing. Like it was just in the stars for me.
Yeah.
And I was looking for a way to kind of cop out, but it's not that simple. It's like you have to keep doing what you're doing, but do it for God. Do
Right.
it out of devotion. Do it out of service. Service to God and service to everyone else. Out of humility, and serve people and make it a positive thing. Don't make it this like, yeah, let's party and I'm gonna tattoo a skull on your arm. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, right.
Do it as like, oh, this tattoo has meaning. It's gonna remind you of something important and it's gonna help you,
Yeah.
which was tough for me to kind of, and even after like I was more engaged in Krishna consciousness, and I was just tattooing and looking at it as like, this is a really good job. Like my heart wasn't really in it, but I was like smart enough to know like this is a fucking good job. You make a lot of money, and like go to work and do a good job. But it was just kind of punching the clock, and my spiritual life was kind of something separate. And I went to India with Raghunath or Ray Kappo, who's the singer of Shelter.
Okay.
And I was kind of telling him that, like, I don't know, how to live this lifestyle and the tattoo lifestyle, because it's so much about like drinking and partying.
Yeah, a lot of
And
triggers.
it's
Yeah.
not, but that was at the time my conception of it,
Mhm.
And he said, what if you just did spiritual tattoos? What if you became known for doing spiritual tattoos and you had this outlook? And in my mind, I was like, yeah, right. Like that's
Yeah.
never going to happen. But it kind of stuck with me. And when I came back to the States, at that time I was living in San Diego, and I started kind of trying that. And then after a couple of years, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try and really just focus on this, and use the inspiration from all the artwork and spirituality I've seen in Asia, because by that time I'd been to Asia like, a handful of times, Thailand and India, Cambodia, Southeast Asia, Laos, Burma,
Oh,
Indonesia, Bali. I usually forget a few, but the Southeast Asia is just I like it there. So I was documenting everything. I'd go into every temple and every painting, every carving. The lintels and the carving on the door frame and like the pillars, the statues. I documented everything, just
that's like
thousands
your
and thousands of photos.
that's like your new tattoo flash.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And a lot of it, especially the stuff in Thailand, like I really have to dumb it down. Like there's guys that do it like really accurate.
right.
But for me, I gotta dumb it down a lot. But that's kind of, yeah, I'm like into big bold tattoos that are gonna hold up a long time,
For sure, yeah.
and that's part of like the traditional background too. Plus, that's my skill level.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like you dumb it down, but then it's like
Well, that's
like
your own representation of these tattoos. Also,
yeah.
you therefore implemented your own style to the spiritual tattoos, and I think that's rad because that's like, I mean, think about it. That still holds that again, your root as an artist to put
Mhm.
your own touch to something, but you're still keeping it true, checking the boxes of an image or design that you see in a temple, but you're like, let's just add this to it, and that's. I think that's pretty that's such a cool like adaptability to that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's pretty awesome. I think that's rad. That's awesome that you seeked out this like the spirituality also. It wasn't even like you weren't forced. You genuinely wanted to come forth and follow this, right?
Mhm.
So it's crazy how like the travels inspired you this whole new shift of like this path from what you were again keeping the balance of yeah, just do what you do, but then just know where you stand as far as, with your alignment, I guess. And that's would you when you traveled out there, you also did tattoos during that time when you were doing the more of the bigger, you ever live out there in this like
No,
or oh no, you're just doing like the
no.
gypsy life?
Yeah. So traveling abroad really started off with Europe and tattooing in Europe, like
Okay.
going there specifically to tattoo. The exchange rate was really good at the time. It was like 1 to 1.5.
Oh,
So,
that's right.
whatever I got there, it was like $1.50 back here. So, €1 was like $1.50 here. So the exchange rate was really good. There wasn't like I was tattooing, and I initially went with Thomas Morgan, and he had been there for a little while, and he took me to Vinnie Stone's in Antwerp, Belgium, which was just like a cash cow, like just crazy busy.
Wow.
And then we went to Amsterdam, and I worked at Hollywood Marks, and then whatever. Oh, and then from there I went to Ireland, and I worked at Tommy's in Dublin.
Oh, cool.
I think they changed the name, but it used to be Classic in Dublin. And
Oh,
so I got to work with some OGs, and it was great. It was a great experience, and I made a ton of money. And I was going to Belgium like pretty often for a couple of years. I think I went that first time, and then maybe didn't go back for a year. And then I started going back, and I was going back once every month or every 2 months. And yeah, it was just I'd just make a bunch of money and come back.
yeah.
And yeah, so it started off with that, and then one trip to Belgium, we decided to. Well, I think I took another trip. I took a trip to Greece on my own, just to just to explore, not to tattoo. And then I think I went to Belgium another time, and or no, I flew straight to Thailand.
Oh, cool.
Thomas Morgan talked me into it. At that time, I was owning a shop in Taos, New Mexico, and I didn't really want to leave. And like, I kind of had responsibilities
For
and
sure.
shit.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
he talked me into going to Thailand, and yeah, so I went to Thailand with him, and we went to Cambodia, and we didn't plan on tattooing there, and we didn't even have tattoo stuff, but we were on this island called Koh Phi Phi, and we went into this tattoo shop, and these guys were really cool, and they were doing bamboo tattoos, like hand poke tattoos with
Yeah.
a bamboo tool, and they were like, "Oh, you got to tattoo us." At first, they were like, "Oh, we have all these machines that are broken. Can you guys fix them?" So we spent like 2 days sitting on the floor fixing all their broken machines because they don't really know about machines. They really
Right,
do
right.
hand poke. So we fixed all their machines, and then they were like, "Okay, cool. Like now you guys got to tattoo us. You got machines." Like,
Yeah.
and so we tattooed a couple of the guys there, and it's so funny because like whenever you tattoo them, they're just like, you're like, "What do you want?" And they're like, "Tattoo," you know, and yeah, but of what? And they're like, "Just give me a tattoo, like American. Yeah, give me an American tattoo."
Wow.
And you're like, "Well, where?" And they're like, "Here, like here." You know, and they're just
Yeah.
and they just will sit as long as, and they don't have any money. They're just like the homies, and they'll trade tattoos and stuff.
Yeah.
But they're just like that concept of like, it's not like when someone walks into a street shop and you're like, "What do you want? Where do you want it? Like,
Sure,
how
sure.
big?" And they can tell you exactly, or they have the picture on their phone. They were just
Plus, like,
like,
yeah, and then there's like the exchange with like, yeah, I have this much or whatever, and over there it's a
yeah,
whole different life. Yeah.
yeah, and they're like, "Just tattoo me like as much they want." They'll sit for a whole sleeve from start to finish. But I was, I'd get too tired, so we
Yeah.
tattooed them a bunch, and then yeah, I think maybe we did a couple like walk-ins in the shop or something, but it's like you get like $8 or something,
Yeah.
after the percentage and what they charge. At least that's what it was then. So I was like, it's not, I love this place, but it's not worth it to come here as a tattoo trip. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's fun if you meet some people and tattoo them, but it's not like worth making it. I'd rather go out and like take a boat out and explore and like go to some temples and some caves and waterfalls than, sit and, tattoo all day and at the end of the day have $20,
Right, right, right.
So traveling in Asia was always kind of like that. Like if I happened into a shop and somebody wanted me to tattoo them, trade tattoos, I would do it, but I never traveled Asia with the intent of tattooing.
Sure.
Europe, I did, but not Asia. Mexico is kind of the same. Like I love Mexico. I've been to Mexico more times than I can count, all over the country. And if somebody wants to trade or somebody wants a cool tattoo, I'm happy to do it. But it's not at all lucrative,
Right, right.
and I'd rather go like find some cenotes or a pyramid or do something epic than sit in
Right.
a tattoo shop like I do here.
That's right. I bet you've seen some pretty crazy things too with like the ancient structures, the pyramids, the places you've explored. I mean, that's did you ever did you get into meditation at around the same time? Like, do you meditate with tattoos or when you do these like spiritual tattoos, is there like a process with that? Is it any different? Someone's devoted as you are to the religion or with the faith, and then do they sit with you? Do you have like a almost like a ceremonial thing or
No,
okay.
no. I mean, yes and no. So it's like that part, like my spirituality, my sadhana, my spiritual practice, my meditation practice is so much a part of my life and so
Mhm.
integrated into my life that everything I do is part of that.
I got you.
But I don't. It's kind of a tough thing to answer because it is yes and no. Like I do, like I have a meditation practice I do japa meditation 2 hours a day, every day.
Okay.
I try to get most of it done before work. Um, and then when I come in here, I also have like picture of my guru. I have a deity,
Mm.
and I make an offering. I offer incense. I say certain pranams, certain prayers, and I offer obeisances. So yeah, I do that in the shop in the morning. So it is like a temple, and there is like a spiritual practice happening in here that I feel benefits my tattooing. But when the person comes in, do I sit and pray with them and, like smudge them, or,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah,
so
yeah.
like, no, it's not like that. It's more like you come
It's a
in
personal
and
thing.
I
Yeah.
say, okay, so what do you want? Where do you want it? Like, show me your references. And I sit down and I talk with them while I'm drawing their tattoo, and then I tattoo them. And more often than not, the conversation like goes in a spiritual direction, because that's how I am, and that's generally how the people I attract are. But
Mm.
it's not like you don't have to like make it into a ritual. Like,
Right.
oh, this is a ritual. Tattooing is a ritual. You
Mm.
don't have to do anything to make it a ritual. Like when you sit down, you're ripping up your paper towels, you're setting up your machines, you're putting out your end caps. That's a ritual. You
Right.
know what I mean? You're putting the stencil on the client, them coming in, greeting, you're meeting this person for the first time. Let's sit down, let's discuss this. That is the ritual. And there's an energetic exchange there that you don't have to like, I don't have to like smudge them or pull out feathers or do any of
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I
it
like
it
that though.
is it's already the like an ancient ritual that's
Hmm.
as ancient as time.
Yeah.
So you don't have to actually do anything to make tattooing a ritual or to make it spiritual. But if you're a spiritual person and you have a spiritual practice, everything you do is going to be spiritual, or in service, like I was saying before. Like, this is my service. This is my service to God. If
Mm.
I can do tattoos that help people make any spiritual advancement, to where it's like they're getting a deity, or they're getting like some sacred symbol that's going to remind them of God, or remind them of their relationship with God, or that they're the spirit soul, that they're not this body. And if my conversation can help that too, then that's my service to God. And that's like our philosophy, is that your whole life is service to God. It's called bhakti, devotional service to God. So everything you do is devotional service. You make food in the morning, we have to eat, but when you make food, you make it, you think about God when you're preparing it, and you're thinking that you're preparing this food for God, and you put it on the altar and you offer it to Krishna, and then he's not hungry, so he doesn't eat it, but
Right.
you offered it. You took the time to remember God and give thanks, and you offered it, and then you can take that food off the altar and you eat it, and now your eating is a spiritual practice, because
It's
you're
almost like
eating it.
offering it is like the blessing in a sense. Like
Yeah,
it's like right,
it's God doesn't need anything.
right.
Like, he has everything. Like, he created everything. He is in full opulence. Like, Krishna doesn't need anything, but he wants your offering, and he loves your offering. And he loves that you remember him and take the time to think of him, instead of just selfishly eating. Oh, this is good. Like,
Right.
remember God before you eat and when you eat, and remember God when you do a tattoo and during the tattoo, and remember God and everything you do, and so tattooing becomes transcendental or spiritualized.
Mhm. Now, do you feel like at your shop you guys still have how many artists do you have working there?
Oh, it's just me here.
This is
It's
your
really
own,
like,
yeah.
I don't like the term private studio, but that's what it is. I don't take walk-ins. It's not open to the public. I do appointments only, and it's just me.
Hmm. Since when has it well, what year did you open this shop at this location?
Uh, Early, like 2020. like beginning
Okay.
of 2020, I think. Or no, yeah, that's right.
And you feel like that's been really ground practices, right? Like you've been able to in this chaotic world, like you kind of detach yourself from the unnecessary materialistic stuff and then just stick more to the like my craft, like the real priorities. Is that like what's your mindset?
Yeah, I mean, I try to,
Yeah,
I'm not perfect and I make mistakes and I have attachments and um, my spiritual practice in the 5.5 years that I've been here has ebbed and flowed. It hasn't been consistent. It is now, and I'm committed to maintaining that because now I'm initiated. I've taken vows with my guru, so I have to maintain it. But yeah, since I've been here, my spiritual practice has been up and down and sometimes non-existent. This shop, like it's a tattoo shop, but it's, functions like a private studio, I guess. But
right.
it's not, for me, it's not ideal. Like I would much rather be in like, it doesn't even have to be a street shop, but like a busy shop with other people. But I just didn't find what I was looking for here. I came to Tucson more looking for a job and than wanting to open a shop, but I was open to opening the space. And I didn't know if I could possibly do that,
Mhm.
if I could. I didn't know anybody here. I didn't know if I could rustle up the clients. But I just didn't find a shop. And I honestly like didn't look a whole lot. I went in a few shops and nothing against any of them. I think there's like some amazing tattooers here in Tucson, some great shops. And like anywhere, there's a lot of bullshit shops
Yeah.
too. But I just didn't find what I was really after, and this place, this building was just, I found it on like the second day I was in town and it was just too good to pass up. It was like the layout and it looks like a tattoo shop, like
Mhm.
checkerboard floors, like
I
you
saw the
walk in.
checkerboard. I'm like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
very, yeah, that's
And
cool.
it's like a shotgun shop and
Yeah.
it just looked like a tattoo shop. Like as soon as I walked in, I was like, holy shit. And the
This
rent
is it.
was like, it's in a really bad part of town. Like guaranteed there's like a fentanyl addict right outside that door right
Jeez.
now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my rent's cheap, but it's, and that's why I would never try and make this place unless this neighborhood radically changed. I would never try to do a street shop here because that's who's going to be
For
walking
sure.
in.
Yeah.
But it's, yeah, it's not ideal, but at the same time I'm like super grateful that I have it and that it's been very lucrative over the years. And like everybody, I think in the past year or two it's slowed down significantly, but it's always been profitable and I'm always able to do the tattoos I want to do and I get cool clients in here. I'd love to have, one or two more artists in here with me, but kind of everybody did what I did and just got their own place. So,
Yeah. You see
um,
that a lot more often, man. It's
yeah,
pretty crazy how even artists that have been in it for a while are some of them are, stuff happens in life and they need to, change their like they need to stay home or whatever. Like some people are kind of shooken up in the industry or some people are just like, oh, this ain't nothing to us. We're, like you said, we've been in the game for so long that yeah, we do have that fear, but I feel like that does come back to the whole self-motivating thing when you wake up and you're like, I'm the one that has to drag myself to the shop and make this month happen, make the next month also be locked in with the appointments and because we remember the days when there weren't any or when there was like you're just sitting waiting for the next walk-in in your own rotation or whatever.
yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah. So it's a little nerve wracking at times still, that part of it, but I think tattooing's always been around and
Yeah,
it always will be. And the people that kind of, are doing it because it's cool right now and like they're not gonna last,
right.
Like, and the ones that do, good for them, because then you've earned it and you've made it. But I think tattooing is, its popularity is going to rise and fall, and people are going to fall off, and some people will stay. And I just recently started looking into like what else could I actually do, you
Mm.
know? Because this summertime I was busy everywhere else. It's a slow season here because it's
Mm.
110 degrees out, and
Yeah, I can't imagine
like
with that
half the
heat.
population leaves, and the rest of them don't want to leave their house. Um, so I've really, like, realistically been looking at, well, what are other things I could do? What are other side hustles? And man, every few years when I actually do that, I'm like, oh fuck, that's scary, dude.
I'm going back, yeah.
People like live. Like, I don't know how people fucking survive on like what is minimum wage, or what's even a little more than minimum wage, versus what food costs and what rent costs and what gas costs. Like, I don't know how people live. And plus, like, you're busting your ass and your job fucking sucks,
Yeah,
so it's like, yeah, I'll take this, I'll stick it out and I'll make it work,
right.
even if it's like, if I have to close this place up and go find a street shop somewhere, like in whatever military base or something, like,
Yeah,
it beats the hell out of fucking whatever, painting houses or moving boxes or digging ditches.
yeah, all that stuff is, man, it sucks. Like, shout out to those that have done that, in the industry and like some of our clients. I'm sure you have clients that have worked in the hard back-breaking jobs and,
I did that. Yeah, I did that too when I was,
right.
I started tattooing at like 21. And before that, I worked in construction, and I was mostly a laborer, mixed concrete and hauling buckets of concrete up scaffolding and digging ditches, running a jackhammer. I was just a skinny little kid, I was like breaking my back doing that shit. So.
How did you, when you opened this shop, how did you get those clients? Did you just go out there and flyer and like promote?
Yes. Yeah, I did that. Was a lot of that. Um, I was at the time I was into yoga asanas, which I don't do anymore, but like yoga classes. Um, and that was big. Like, met a lot of people at yoga classes and stuff.
Mm.
At that time, I was doing one a day because I didn't know anybody, and I didn't have tattoos yet. So I was like, all right, just go out and like be as active and social as you can. So there was that. There's the Hare Krishna temple that, spending a lot of time there, and just, single guy just going out to eat every meal, not because I needed to, like, I prefer to cook food at home, but I was like, every meal that I eat out is an opportunity to give somebody a card,
Yeah.
meet more people. And, yeah, going into shops, putting stacks of stickers and cards in shops all downtown, and being very social and talking to a lot of people. And Instagram.
Mm.
Instagram was a big part of it. I'm not going to lie. I think the algorithm has changed, so it's not as easy to grow and find clients on Instagram.
Yeah.
Maybe TikTok, and you still get something off of Instagram. But I was using hashtags like Tucson hashtags that like no other tattooers in this town were using at that time. So hashtags went a long way, and I was paying for ads on Instagram,
Just kind of
which
boost, promote. Yeah.
yeah, that went a long way. But I had a friend that I met here like right away at the temple, who was like a social media like management type person, like person who does that like for a living for businesses and stuff. And she just, like, out of the goodness of her heart, did that thing for me on
Wow.
Facebook and posted about me in all kinds of Facebook groups and all over the internet. And that did wonders. That was like
I'm
the initial.
sure. Yeah.
So yeah, I opened up the shop and I was actually just booked straight out of the gates, and I was amazed because I didn't know. I've signed a 6-month lease, and I was like, we'll see how it goes.
Right.
If not, move on to something else. And I really didn't know if I could do enough tattoos to even pay rent. And yeah, I was booked straight out of the gates, probably, you know, at least one a day, like 4 or 5 days a week, for like just opening the shop and being new in town. And not being a street shop, it was pretty good, you know?
Yeah, with that topic of like Instagram and like the whole promotional thing, like you don't just do spiritual tattoos. You obviously mentioned that you do everything. How do you the stuff that you've when you're booking, like for instance today and this whole the rest of the week, not every tattoo is like a spiritually related tattoo. You also do like you have those occasional come in, they want like floral pieces and you do
Yeah.
take a lot of that in, right? It's
Yeah. For me, it would kind of all fall under the same category. I
okay.
think it's rare that I get somebody who doesn't have like some kind of spiritual inclination, you know?
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I do, you know, tribal or whatever. It's occasionally I'll get an email if somebody just wants a panther or a
Oh, sure.
rose. And I'm like, fuck yeah, like come
Let's get
in,
back to it. Yeah.
let's do it, you know, and
Yeah.
I'm stoked. I always feel like people used to ask me like, "Oh, why'd you stop doing traditional tattoos?" And I'm like, "Well, I didn't. You know, I'm
Right.
still happy to do that, but people stopped asking me for them. You know, and that's really what happened. And I guess it was probably just where I was in northern New Mexico at the time. Like, just you know, I was doing a little bit here and there, but people weren't asking me for them, and there was a lot of other guys doing them, and um, yeah, so I've always felt like if somebody asked me for like a panther or you know even like a dagger or some traditional thing, you know,
Still take
certain
it on.
images resonate more with me. But I feel like if I get an email for like a tiger head or a panther, I'm like, oh, the stars have aligned, you
Yeah.
know, and I've always felt that way. Like this is gonna go good. Like this is gonna be a rad tattoo.
Now social media is like your portfolio. So you do have that mixture of the color, but a lot of your stuff does have that mandala-esque like sacred
Yeah.
geometry, and then you have a lot of that. Someone could just see this and be like, "Oh, he probably doesn't do this." Well, you're only really promoting a certain like this is what
Right.
I like to do, this is what I want to do. I'm not trying to promote something that I don't want to do.
Yeah, it was better. It's I think COVID happened and you know things came to a screeching halt and then I feel like tattooers kind of got this like post-COVID boost when people were, you know, getting their unemployment, their stimulus checks and stuff. And then after that things kind of slowed down and when it's been really busy here for me, a lot of people are traveling here from other places, you know. A
Yeah.
lot of people from Phoenix, California, and then people that fly from other places. And yeah, so, but there is a lot here for that. And I think that's just kind of like a desert thing, you
Right.
know? Like, I think whatever kind of people the desert attracts, they like that stuff. When floral, ornamental, tribal, mandala stuff, like, it's a different kind of person in the desert. And I think they're more like, that's for whatever reason that's part of their aesthetic, you know.
Yeah, that's amazing. You've done conventions with this new location too, right? Because now people have heard of
uh,
you and
yeah, I just did the one in Albuquerque this
Albert.
past weekend, but
Yeah.
other than that I haven't done a convention in a long time. I don't, well, I'm a couple in Mexico, but I haven't done a convention in the States and I don't even remember the last time. It's been, God, probably over 10 years.
Yeah, but that's not
um,
really your focus, right? You're just more so like hone it at home and
Yeah, well, I got tired of going to conventions and not doing shit, you know? And
yeah.
I think that like there's some good conventions where they're really looking out for the artists and they're trying to get like different styles and artists from all over and have a good representation of tattooing across the board. And they also do a good job to advertise locally and get customers and clients to the convention because I think now like most of them though aren't doing that and they're just like trying to book tattoo artists and get your booth fee
Mhm.
and they don't really care if there's clients and customers walking around. That's on you. Like because you know a lot of people can go and book out and it's not like a convention used to be where they brought customers. You paid the booth fee because you are paying them to bring customers to you. Just like when you work in a street shop, you pay a
Yeah.
percentage because that shop brings customers in the door, and they're doing whatever. Even if they just have a location that brings people in, or they're advertising, that's what you pay a percentage for, and that's what you pay a booth fee for. And if you
Right.
pay a booth fee and no one's walking around the convention getting tattooed, what the fuck are you paying for?
Yeah,
You know?
it's like you're paying to play kind of thing.
Yeah, and I got tired of that, and I know there's good ones out there that are busy, but I just kind of lost interest,
Yeah.
like traveling and it's kind of a crapshoot, and feeling like you're in a fishbowl too. If you're not tattooing, you're just sitting there, people walking by gawking at you and shit like
Yeah.
that.
Or I'm
And
just
also like kind of the cool guy thing, the like
yeah.
fashion show aspect of it. But that I did this one in Albuquerque last weekend. A lot of people I've known for decades were there, and it was great to see a lot of old friends and a lot of amazing tattoo artists and talk to my friends and have a good time. And I did a lot of tattoos, and that was awesome. Yeah, I'm totally open to doing more that turn out like that, but I don't have the time to weed them out and figure out
Right.
what's what.
Yeah, man, that makes sense. And no, I definitely agree. It's just like a circuit and a circus, you know? It's
Yeah,
like you're following the circus where it's like a group of because I've been there, I've been there where 2014 you're doing this whole you're just following from, location to location. It's this huge circle in the East Coast or wherever. I will say, I mean, I'm grateful for the people I've tattooed at those conventions because they actually like chose you to do their piece out of all
yeah,
these artists and have made, like you said, the connections is where I think I'm very, very grateful to have. And I think that is what I taking away from all the traveling was just like those doors, to new shops, other artists, sharing ideas. I've collaborated with artists out of state that I've met at a convention. Things like that is just so sick.
yeah,
Yeah, I think it's pretty awesome to hear all that, how you just it's a growth from where you started, but you're still keeping that root of who, not forgetting where you came from in a sense, but also now just kind of cleaning the slate and reinventing it through all the experiences of life and traveling, knowing then what you know now. If you were to share advice with anybody from your own experiences of life, what would that be?
and I think the most important thing is like just build a relationship with God, and everything else in your life will fall into place. And if it doesn't, like there's a reason for that. God's trying to teach you something. So yeah, just surrender, and nothing else is going to bring you happiness. Anything else that you try to indulge in or to enjoy or to exploit is only going to bring you more misery and suffering. If you're out, you're trying to enjoy whatever it is, drugs, alcohol, sex, cars, just food, and you're just indulging and you're looking for happiness through sense gratification and material enjoyment, it's not going to make you happy. It's only going to make you more miserable. It's only going to get you more entangled into illusion, and it's going to cause you more suffering. So build a relationship with God, like find a spiritual practice in a spiritual community. Um, whatever it is for you, I think if you're sincere in that, that's what's gonna make everything else in your life fall in place. And it might not be the way that you like envision it. Like having a relationship with God and serving God might not make you $1 million, but you'll be happy with what you do have.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, man, that's real deep. I like that. Where can people find you? Where can people book or find your merch? Where can they get a hold of you?
So sitarama.tattoo.com, SITARAMATATTOO.com is my website. You can book tattoo appointments there. You can also buy merch, t-shirts, prints. Right now it's really low. I sold like everything at that convention,
Yeah.
but we'll get new stuff out there soon. And then my Instagram is Sita Rama. It's SITA_RAMA. And then I have a Facebook too. And but yeah, the website's like the main way to find me.
Yeah, for sure. Tucson, Arizona. Shout out, man. I appreciate you so much for coming on, man, making on the time and meeting up with me, bro. It was really good conversation, brother. That was really some great insight. It's cool to hear that shift, that spiritual, inspirational. It's really
Well, I'm
cool, man.
happy to share it, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak. It's really cool.
I make it out to Arizona. I got to drop by, man. Say what's up.
You're always welcome here. Just let
Appreciate
me
that,
know.
brother.
Thank you. Hare
La-
Krishna.
Later on, man.